Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, is AEW's Tony Khan interested in some of WWE's released wrestlers?
Are WWE about to release another 10 wrestlers?
We have an update on Nia Jax's release.
And a backstage update on how WWE had absolutely no plans for this released superstar. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
All right, we're going to kick things off by talking a new interview that Tony Khan has done with Wade Keller of Pro Wrestling Torch, talking about a bunch of different things relating to AEW, AEW's business, and everything else, including the recent WWE releases. So we covered this last Friday, of course. WWE releasing, I can't take my eyes off that mustache. WWE releasing a total of 18 wrestlers to bring their total for 2021 into the 70s. And when Tony was asked if any of the people let go last week were of interest to him, he went into a little bit, talking about how it's always terrible when people lose their jobs and everything else. But there's an interesting quote here with regards to AEW and those wrestlers. So I'll just read the whole thing out to you. I'm going to take a ballpark number, and I'm not trying to make light of everything because everybody counts. And I know this is probably not the exact amount of people, but every time they let's say as a ballpark, 20 people go, I think there's been in general 1 or 2 or 3 people in there that I'm interested in and snatch up because they keep doing it, these mass layoffs. And let's say 20 people go, more or less. And each time I find a few people and the company gets a little stronger and stronger, in my opinion. And I do see a few in this wave. I don't want to say who or when I would be interested in them, Keith Lee. That's part of the quote, obviously. But I do think there are some very interesting people they just let go. And same goes with that last wave, and the wave before that, and the wave before that, and the wave before that. So each time they let, say, 20 people go, there are a few interesting ones for AEW, and this was no exception to that. So with the wrestlers let go, some of them will be on 30-day non-competes, mostly NXT people. Some of them will be on 90 days, mostly main roster people. That means first week of December for the 30-day people, and first week of February as far as those non-competes running out go. So if you want to see Keith Lee on Dynamite, which we're obviously speculating on here, February would be the earliest that could possibly happen. But yeah, man, it's the same every time, isn't it? When things like this come up, a guy in Tony Khan's position must look and go, that person, I can do business with that person, they can make me money, this would be a good relationship, snatch them up. I'm sure he'll be doing that again. There are some obvious names, Keith Lee, that he will be looking at, but there you go. That's what you think.
I think it makes complete sense, like you say. You can look at any sort of recent list of WWE releases. What is it, 71 for this 71. Year? And in each one, you could cherry pick people, and we already do the moment it happens, to say, yeah, they'd fit right in AEW, or they'd just be a great addition to the roster. You look at this recent wave of releases. I was talking to Cedric about it on the Rampage preview on Friday. WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from. And obviously, yes, Keith Lee. You've got people like Mia Yim. You've got people like Lindsay Dorado and Gran Metalik, who Sid suggested could have a barnstorm, even if it's just a one-off match against the Lucha Bros. Yeah. My God, what they could do.
That'd be fun.
Ember Moon, like that women's division always needs improving. AEW. She's sensationally talented. She's been underutilized by WWE. Yes, she's had a selection of injury issues, but I can't sit there and say that list of names, obviously headed by Eva Marie, would be the best ones to head to AEW.
Obviously headed.
But yeah, is it February for Keith Lee?
February for Big Chief Keith. Yeah, Keith Lee turned up on Dynamite. He would be over within 10 seconds of the bell going. He would just do a massive flip, and it would be great. It would be awesome. So there you go.
It's almost like they should have done that with him in WWE. Instead of putting him in tennis skirts and making him go row.
I'm a bear now. Also a cat.
It was a horrible week last week with all those releases, and I thought, right, come on, we'll come in, we'll start afresh this week.
Positive news.
First story I get handed by Andy Murray. Yeah, WWE might be releasing another 10 wrestlers. Like I mentioned, 71 already gone from the promotion this year, and Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio has been suggesting that at least 10 more wrestlers, particularly NXT wrestlers, were, quote, on the bubble of being cut. Now, we're obviously not going to sit here and speculate on the names, although Meltzer himself pointed out the likes of Danny Burch and Timothy Thatcher, basically because, as you can probably guess, they don't really fit the NXT 2.0 model or the vision they've got for that going forward, which is establish people to then be utilised on the main roster. It makes a lot of sense, this story. I never want to campaign for anyone to get released. Don't be one of those people who says, oh, so-and-so got released, I wish they got released instead. None of the releases were a good thing.
Pretty heartless,
So don't be going around saying stuff like that. But you look at the bright, colourful 2.0, the revamped version, you like it or dislike it, it does feel like square pegs in round holes with Danny Burch and Timothy Thatcher on there.
Yeah, and there was some stuff in the Observer last week, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, where Dave wrote that pretty much any veteran who's not being used on television at the moment was considered for this wave and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it sucks. We cover these things every single time. We use the information available to us and we examine it and break it down, and we did that last week. Hope to not see, obviously, more people lose their jobs by the end of the year, because it sucks. But WWE is in a different reality now. They are citing these budget cuts, but it's not budget cuts because they need to save money. It's budget cuts because they have lots of it and they want to make more. That's what they're handing out as the reason.
Yes, exactly.
And it's whack.
Yes, exactly. I think we'll get to another one of the wrestlers who was cited with budget cuts and explain why, in reality, creative just had nothing for them. But yes, feel free to speculate in the comments as to whether you think this is saving money, trying to make even more money from what they've got, or potentially setting themselves up for a sale. And speaking of things on sale, Andy Murray.
Nice. Books. We're back. We're shilling the books. Got a trio of them available. WhatCulture.BigCartel.com. That link will be in the description. The flagship of this batch of releases is Becoming All Elite: The Rise of AEW by our very own Michael Sidgwick. We also have a reprint of Sidgwick's previous book, Development Hell, the NXT story. If you want to get those in a bundle, those two, you can do that. Reduced price. It's good. Smashing. It's great. We also have a reprint of our previous book, 505 Wrestling Matches You Need to See Before You Die. Since we released that, there's been a bunch of other good wrestling. So
and bad.
Updated it. And bad. But I wrote about a lot of bad wrestling for this book. 606 wrestling matches you need to see before you die. You need to see the bad ones because they're like historically silly. It's great. That's up there as well. WhatCulture.BigCartel.com. Order now. You will get them for Christmas. International shipping available. I think I've ran through all the talking points, but they're all excellent. They're all great. Thumbs up.
Yeah, go and get your hands on them. Great stuff, like you say, perfect Christmas gift for friends, family, or just for yourself. What are we, 7 and a bit weeks away from Christmas? Get them ordered now. WhatCulture.BigCartel.com.
There you go. Nia Jax was released by WWE while she was on a mental health break.
Yikes.
This one stinks. She was obviously part of the group of 18 wrestlers that was let go by the promotion last week, but she updated her Instagram the following day talking about the situation, saying she'd been off TV due to taking some time off to look after her mental health. She was due to reply to TV, or plans came in for her to return on the 15th of November, but she asked for an extension to that because she needed more time away. That was not replied to. They just didn't respond to that request, and then she was let go. So it's pretty grim stuff. There's an update on this from Fightful Select, just confirming everything Nia said here about her break and her extension and everything else, saying that while the creative team had come up with plans for her to return, there weren't necessarily any long-term plans for her. So yeah, I mean, look, say what you will about Nia Jax as a performer, and we've spoken negatively on certain things she's done in WWE, because that's how you break things down. You be objective about these things. But nobody deserves to be let go from their job when they're on a break to look after their mental health. That's just rough.
Yeah, awful to read this over the weekend. Obviously, we spoke a lot about Nia Jax on Friday as well. Her name being suggested as one of those people released because they didn't want to get vaccinated. I completely support WWE if that was their decision based on that. But if she was taking time off for a mental health break, we talk about this all the time. We talked about it with Mox, of course, last week a hell of a lot. Take time for yourself. Don't feel like anyone else, requires you to do things. You should always do what's most important for you. And as much as, like you say, we've had our differences when it comes to Nia Jax, she's completely right in wanting to take time off for herself. And it's disgusting if WWE got rid of her as a result of that, and especially during one of those mentioned breaks.
Yeah, exactly. Not even responding to the request extension as well. Just horrible, gross stuff.
Right, let's conclude by talking about another one of the releases, Eva Marie. And obviously, as we've cited for the last few days, WWE have given the reason of budget cuts for getting rid of those 18 wrestlers. But according to a new report from Fightful Select, no crap, just Sap, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, no word as to whether the budget cuts contributed to her release, but it does seem like the company had absolutely nothing creatively for her going forward, which would seem to suggest a reason for her to be on the chopping block. Interestingly as well, they reveal that when she was brought back into the promotion in October of 2020, They didn't have any plans for her either. They just brought her in and went, we'll work it out as we go along. Astonishing to read this, Andy.
What a weird comeback run, right? She comes back into the promotion in late 2020, last year. They don't do anything for months and months and months. They come up with the Dewdrop plans in March. She gets the vignettes in May. She comes back on TV like a month later. 3 months on TV, gone. What was the point of all that? Like, I'm glad Eva Marie got paid, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad she was employed for this period and everything else. Good for her, that's awesome. But what was the point of this whole run?
Well, exactly, and you know, even if you didn't have anything for her initially in October 2020, when they brought her in, you had thousands of people suggesting online what you could do stuff with her. She was hanging out with Parker Boudreaux, of course, maybe they were going to be associated.
Farland.
And they just brought her back and did the whole, she's crap, but she thinks she's great sort of thing.
And it didn't work, did it?
With Dewdrop, and then we're going to have a match with Alexa Bliss, and then the doll stuff, and then, obviously going to turn on Dewdrop, and then Dewdrop beats her, and then that was it.
Yeah.
What a waste.
What a waste.
Bloody pointless year in the promotion, but absolutely congratulations to her for getting paid. Maybe she can spend some of that money on beers for Survivor Series. Survivor Beeries. Shout out to our friends at Top Rope Brewing. If you're one of our UK viewers, you can get your hands on 12 delicious craft beers for just £45 all in, and with free delivery. Just enter the code Here's Why at checkout. The link is in the description. It's Top Rope versus WhatCulture, 6 versus 6. There's stickers, there's everything. It's going to be great. I can't wait for Survivor Beeries, Andy.
Me neither. I'm looking forward to it as much as I am t-shirt time itself.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course. If you want to get in touch with us, Retro Rama 80s gives us our first question of the day, saying, with all these releases this year, do you think WWE 2K22 is going to be impacted with poor sales?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, that might be a contributing factor as well, but also the fact that the last 2K WWE 2 game, not Battlegrounds, well, was it 2K19, 2K20?
Yes.
The last one they did was a disaster, or like a PR nightmare on launch with all the glitches and everything else. Maybe a bit of fatigue surrounding these games as well. Like, I stopped playing them years and years ago because it got too complicated. I just want my nice arcadey game. I don't want to have to play 7 different buttons and hold in 3 shoulders just to do a suplex.
No, I miss like the old like SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. To stop yourself from being eliminated from a Rumble, just batter.
Smash a button.
Yeah.
It's I think there's a lot of contributing factors. I'm not confident about those games doing well, put it that way.
No, but I feel very sorry for all the releases, obviously, but particularly as well people who work at 2K who've been grafting and working and maybe putting people in major storylines and then have been told, they're not going to be, well, they are going to be in the game, but we don't really want.
They've already got to scrap a DLC because they release people. Like 2K have been like, oh wait, none of these people work here. Thanks, that's good. Good to know we've put all that work in.
But intrigued to see if they've actually made a good game for once. Jake Messanetti gives us our second question of the day. Jake says, good morning, you wonderful dudes. At the last week, I'm putting my Peacock money to better use. Quite right, Jake. Are there any indie promotions or lesser known wrestlers that have caught your eye? Thanks and happy Monday to all, says Jake.
I would say if anyone's looking for like smaller promotion or whatever to get into, away from the bright glitzy lights of mainstream American wrestling, I always say DDT, man. DDT is awesome.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
I am. Their subscription service, Wrestle Universe, you can currently get it for free for the rest of the year, provided you pay the subscription for January, which still comes in at under a tenner, by the way. It's like about £7 in the UK every single month. You get DDT for that. You get Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, one of the leading promotions in Japan. You get Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling if you want to watch some Joshi. You also get Gambari Pro, so it's a really good value deal to start with. DDT, there's a lot more to it than the goofy comedy. I fast forward through the goofy comedy because my opinions are like my serious wrestling. But it's a great deal. And to answer your question on specific wrestlers who caught my eye from that, Yuki Ueno is a Wrestler of the Year candidate. If you know, you know. Check him out if you get the subscription. Yeah, well worth checking that out. I would suggest also using that money to put towards your favourite wrestlers if they've just been released by, many promotions. Obviously, the guys in ROH are struggling, WWE releases, etc., etc. And if you want to watch some great wrestling, I saw a fantastic indie promotion on YouTube over the weekend, Andy. They're called WCPW, I believe, better known as Defiant Wrestling nowadays. There's a really good match on there. Really good match on there that I watched at the weekend, featuring a Keith Lee and a Ricochet in the Never heard of them.
WCPW Pro Wrestling World Cup. So
Young up and
there's a little
comers.
tip from me. Some quite good stuff in there from a lad called, what was his name? Will Ospreay. So yeah, he's one to watch out for.
He loves us
guys.
already, man.
Right, final question today comes from Ron, who says, "Morning, gentlemen. Would you rather have a pint with Hangman, play a round of Street Fighter with Kenny Omega, or go shoe shopping with the Bucks?" By the way, it's Yoda's 3rd birthday today. Can he get some birthday wishes? Of course he can. Happy birthday, Yoda. Good boy. Pint with Hangman, Street Fighter with Kenny Omega, shoe shopping with the Bucks.
Shoe shopping with the Bucks, provided they're paying.
I was going to say they're going to be going in their wallet.
Provided they're paying. I'm not paying 10 grand for your Dior or whatever. So yeah, shoe shopping with the Bucks, 100%.
I'm going to go pint with Hangman, even though he'd probably drink me under the table, because
Just have the milk, the Kenny.
computer games suck. Sorry, guys. You're a
All
nerd
of
if
them
you-
are bad.
You're a nerd if you play them. I'm joking, of course. He'd just batter me.
More
so
of a
it's pointless.
hentai guy, this guy.
It's pointless me playing computer games against Kenny Omega. I'd just be watching Kenny Omega batter me on Street Fighter, basically. Shoe shopping. I already had a bad enough time trying to find shoes for myself, and yeah, unless the Bucks are paying. So yeah, pint with Hangman for me. But let us know your thoughts. I like those. Give us more of those like options for Twitter questions tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Let's move on to today's, and finally, we should say happy birthday to Keith Lee, by the way, because yesterday it was also another wrestling birthday. Tony Schiavone. How do I know that, Andy Murray? Because Adam Cole tweeted belatedly today, "Hey, at Tony Schiavone, I hope your birthday sucks. Feud of the year?"
Can't wait for them to wrestle at Revolution 2022. It's going to be great.
Can't believe Tony Schiavone's going to give Adam Cole a Canadian destroyer. It's going to be
Mental.
unbelievable. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dudley Boys reviewing Rampage, SmackDown, and looking ahead to Monday Night Raw later on today. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch that. You can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray
At Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for hornpipe, which is a lively British dance as demonstrated.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. I'll put a link
Barbary
up later on today to donate towards this monstrosity for Movember, of course. Follow us all at What Culture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Wasn't very lively.
No.